So, gentlemen, thanks very much for joining me again. What's really important to me is the community, building community and trying to make a difference. And this is where I am super proud for Clarity to be working alongside Steps Together, but also to be working alongside Shoorah. So for anybody who doesn't know, Lorri, you have basically created something from scratch. You are doing something totally unique, something totally different, and with a want and wish of trying to help others. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, so obviously super excited to be going to the Shine Awards this year. I went there last year, it was incredible. And I'm grateful for the invite again, guys. Thank you so much. But what I love the most this year from what you've told me is it's not just about staff recognition and the wider community from that perspective. It's also about businesses and their employees, because it doesn't matter if you're employed or unemployed or what you do in life. Ultimately, you have a job theoretically and you go to that place every day. That's normally what consumes a lot more of your time than other things in life. And I've always believed it's a moral and ethic responsibility of the employer to look after those that are in your duty of care, because you are building the community, the infrastructure around them, so they kind of don't have a choice of who they're sat next to or working with as such. They might like them, they might not. You know, we hear all sorts, as you can imagine. And it's then also company culture really does start at the top. So if you have a C-suite, directors, stakeholders there have never really embraced company culture, perhaps for many different reasons, stigma, arrogancy, whatever it might be, ultimately that filters down and it keeps filtering down to the bottom. And at the bottom of that funnel normally is the children of the employees that are doing the job for the poor cultured business. So we didn't just come into this space to try and offer something just different. It's not always about USPs. It was about educating the stakeholders around what does company culture actually look like. And that was our main priority at the start. We come into it with a very much holistic model. We wanted to sort of embrace breath work, journaling, meditation, and really trying to educate those in the HR department, the benefits teams, to relay that on and not just think, oh, we've got something or nothing or wherever that comes from, tick a box. Tick a box doesn't work. And after generations of ticking boxes, that's why we've sort of hit the pandemic of suicides through the roof, addictions through the roof, and lots of other things that we don't sort of have time to go into right now. So I always think the holistic approach helps, but then we found very quickly the scope of the holistic option wasn't enough, because it's never going to be one size fits all. And that's, as we know.
Yeah, that's the bit, isn't it? That one size doesn't fit all. You know, you've created and built Shoorah, which is an app which basically helps individuals around, you know, their mental health, looking after themselves. And apps will work for a vast amount of people. But then on the flip side, you need also what Steps Together do for one-to-one in person, whether it be treatment. But then, Steve, what I love about the collaborations and the way that you two are both developing, you're now doing something different as well, aren't you? So you're not just doing the
yeah, I mean, this won't be unfamiliar to Lorri in terms of, you know, since the COVID pandemic, we hear people a lot more openly talking about poor mental health, stress, burnout. People are working twice as hard now. They've gone back into the workplace after the pandemic. They've got a business leaders, business owners, senior managers, even, you know, workers on the ground. They're having to work harder and harder and harder to try and recoup the losses from the pandemic. To also, and again, like you say, Lorri, they're going into an environment where they haven't decided who they're going to be working with. The organisation's decided who they're going to be working with, and that places a lot of mental health and stress and well-being on people. You know, we're finding we developed literally by default a program called the Reset Program, which is just purely about burnout and stress. And without even trying to market that program, we have people now booking in for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, where they're actually down in tools, taking the time to really get their health well. And I think what's great about the Shoorah app is more than just an app. I think I see it as much more than just an app, Lorri, forgive me. You know, that as a product is actually a product that's very dynamic, that also doesn't just say, okay, do a questionnaire on your mental mental health today, and there's a score, and oh yeah, you're in a bad place, aren't you? Actually, what it does is give solutions, and it gives all sorts of solutions, including treatment solutions. You know, Shoorah are partnered with lots of different solutions out there, so an employee says, well, actually, I've got this issue, I've identified it through the app, through the digital platform that's so amazing, and now they're saying, actually, here's a solution as well that this platform's given me. So it's more than just, there's thousands of apps out there in the world.
It's a great point, that, Steve, and it's, you know, from the holistic approach, we've gone very medical and clinical based now, and we're doing digital bio assessments. We've got over 180, so there's pretty much something for everybody. We've gone very much heavy into blood work, urine, saliva, and stool testing for pre-cancers, different types, right? And as you mentioned, we're now signposting, so we can signpost people that could be experiencing burnout, maybe don't know they're experiencing burnout. And we get these digital markers from wearable devices. We get them from digital bio tests, from blood work, from simple Q&As. And off the back of the analysis, we can then signpost them to places like Steps Together to help that burnout if that's what they're heading towards, right? So it's not just about having all the tools in your pocket. It's also about having the accountability. So once you set up the little alerts, the affirmations, the hits to your watch, whether you are participating in a challenge, we've now got a whole new challenges feature, so companies can do steps challenges to create that community feeling, that productivity, get the endorphins rushing, help people bond together, especially if they're working remotely and feel disconnected and start to feel that sort of depression, anxiety, you know, sitting looking at a screen all day at home on your own gets a little bit overwhelming. And you know, that's normally where people get impacted, where they've lost that office vibe since COVID. So we've seen that a lot. So the challenge feature really brings people back together. Obviously, it creates the competitiveness, which is always great, or you can stay anonymous. We put that option there for those that don't want to.
I think one of the lovely things that the three of us sat here today, that 2/3 of our lives are spent in work, and we are basically wanting to try and help people realise that actually we're amazing at looking after ourselves physically, as we have become over the last 10, 15 years. But the next biggest challenge is mental, to be able to be in a position to actually look after ourselves mentally. And what you are doing, what I'm trying to do with Clarity, it all aligns and it all gives people choice. And that is the biggest thing for me. I do not want to be sat here telling anybody what to do. But the more choice that people have, and the more communities that come and talk and shout and openly share, the more help that people can get. Because sadly, I got to that end of the road. And once you are there, Steve, you know how hard it is to treat people at the end of the road. So what we're trying to do as a collective, you know, between the three of us, with different models, different things, different ideas, and different choices, is help as many people on their journey as possible.
I think as well, like it's also about the employer. These companies that are going to come to the event and those that are going to watch the videos and the brand awareness about the recognition of the Shine Awards for those that are trying to make change in the sector. The great thing is as well, like these businesses have business owners, and if their members of staff are not productive, they're experiencing burnout, anxiety, depression, whatever it might be, and they disguise it with cold and flu within the HR department. You don't actually know. This impacts the business financially, which means they then cut jobs. People then lose jobs, which is that chicken and the egg, you know, what comes first. And this is why I always try and encourage and educate, whether it be the head of benefits, HR directors, stakeholders, whoever we can sort of get in front of. I try and educate them on what you know, the platform can actually offer as a whole, because it's not just about shoving something down someone's throat. It's about giving them the opportunity to have something anonymous at their disposal when they need it. And traditionally, a lot of big insurance companies failed in this space because it was very much easy to offer a cheap EAP solution. It ticked a box. They had that, but there was nothing more. Andropause, menopause. If I said to you testosterone replacement therapy, you'd go, what? Is that steroids? They don't know what this is, but most men over the age of 40 experience testosterone depletion, right? Yeah. And then if you don't have testosterone, you're not working properly. If you're not working properly, where are you getting your dopamine, your endorphins? You're going to get it from food, junk food. It means you're not going to exercise, you're going to put on weight, you're going to feel bad. So all these things are a trickle effect. You take alcohol, you take drugs, anything that can give you that dopamine hit. And what we're trying to do with the technology and the special algorithms that we've built is try and catch that with prevention. So not ring this phone line when things are at the end of the road. That's too late.
Yeah.
And that costs the NHS and costs other places a lot of money. Costs businesses money to relieve the staff of the sick leave, right? And have to pay them. So we've built these special algorithms that can predict and detect burnout and certain things before they happen based off wearables. My wearables know if I've had a bad sleep, if my stress levels are high, and it tells me when to rest, just about. But what we've done with Shoorah, we take that and we'll push a digital test in front of you. At the end of that test, you're going to get given another test. You're going to get given more options, so the funnel starts getting down and down. So you start to know where you're actually at. Then we signpost you to the right place, whether that be a phone line service. We've got a free addiction phone line inside of our app. Like, there's a lot more inside of Shoorah than you could probably anticipate just by looking at the website. And this is why, you know, we've been managed to help millions of users already across the UK and globally.
And it's really interesting that you talk about it being a preventative opportunity. You know, the burnout program that we're delivering, the reset program we're delivering, it's a preventative program. It's reactive to somebody who is actually burnt out, but it's actually the whole reason that we started life as an addiction treatment provider. What happens when people get burnt out, when they get stressed, when they get overworked? Chances are they develop an unhealthy relationship with alcohol or drugs or antidepressants or prescribed medication. So it's about saying, actually, we can head off at the pass people in a preventative way by let's just deal with what's in front of us, which is burnout and stress and anxiety and mental health. And that way, they're not going to have an unhealthy relationship and become an addict. So for us, exactly the same principle, really. Prevention. It's always been better than cure.
Yeah.
And
well, you're never going to cure. You're never going to. I'm sorry, and that's my own personal opinion, but I don't believe you're ever going to cure because, but prevention we can do. And that is the big thing, the prevention. And as employers and as a workforce, and this is where Shine comes in. So this year's Shine is bigger, better, bolder. And it's not just about steps. It's not just about your staff and it's about bringing and shining a light on. I'll let you explain.
Well, that's just it. It's exactly. This year, we decided last year was very much about celebrating our staff that work for us. We had a particular birthday celebration within the business last year. This year, we said, actually, we are working more and more with employers. We're working more and more around the issue of well-being in the workplace. Actually, who's celebrating those employers, but in a way that's healthy and inclusive through an alcohol-free event? So we said, let's make Shine 2025 an alcohol-free business award ceremony, celebrating those businesses that are going above and beyond in whatever way, and there's lots of different award categories, are really excelling at well-being in the workplace, and that's all aspects of well-being, financial well-being of their workforce, emotional well-being, physical well-being, spiritual well-being, and really making sure that actually we're shining a spotlight on them as a business. And as businesses, they can learn from each other as well, and we start to develop a business community where they're having honest conversations in the room and without booze, where they're at an event, it's alcohol-free. It's also raising money for NACOA, the National Association of Children of Alcoholics. So again, just having those businesses in the room who are actually being able to be celebrated for the amazing stuff that they're doing. And these are the businesses that, our judging panel are really key about this. You're right. So many businesses tick that box, tick that box, tick that box. And we want to make sure the awards this year, that with the judging panel, are very, very clear. They need to see it, touch it, smell it, live and breathe what that business is doing, rather than just a business filling an application form, nominate. I mean, we've had 148 nominations from different businesses around the UK so far who believe they're doing really exceptional things in the workplace around an innovative health and wellbeing programs in the workplace. That's massive. I mean, that's huge.
And 148 is huge numbers.
Yeah. Huge. Yeah, totally. But it's now about saying, actually, let's make sure that of those 148, let's get this shortlist down to those that really aren't just ticking a box. And that's what's key. Video testimonial, actually hearing from frontline staff, actually interviewing people, really understanding that actually that's a business that we at Shine, in the Shine Awards, want to endorse and say, actually, we're shining a light on that business because what they're doing is bloody amazing.
And I think over the years, as you keep progressing and building and putting effort and time and resource into the Shine Awards, you're going to have a lot more businesses want to be known and get that recognition and be a part of it. And if I am a business owner, but I'm in this space, but if I was a business owner or a company that weren't in the wellbeing space and I wanted to make a change with company culture and do something a little bit different, or at least show those that serve me as a business owner and a business director, I would go to an event like the Shine Awards, because ticking boxes is a big thing, stigma is another thing. how do you encourage company culture? You can't just put a well-being blast on the internet because it's World Mental Health Day. You can't just send out an email or a Slack message to say, happy menopause week. Like, that doesn't work no more. That's what we've been doing for decades, right?
Yeah.
It's just ticking boxes, isn't it?
It is.
And that's the big piece that we are all getting to. The days of ticking boxes need to change. The days of, if you are a business leader, if you basically are in control of a business, you need to lead from the top. And you need to lead from the top, and you need to set the example. You know, I have several businesses, and I have had to change the way I run my businesses over the last few years. And I invest in the stuff and I do things differently. And I'm not telling anybody not to drink, because that is not what I'm about. But what we do within my businesses is we have a balance. We have some alcohol-free nights. We have some boozy nights for the people who want to go and drink. And if people don't want to drink, then they don't have to go, and that's their choice. It's all about the balance. But just like the mental health, it's finding what works.
Absolutely. And what's interesting, when you bring businesses together, we did it earlier this year. We held 2 pre-Shine events where we invited in Liverpool and Manchester businesses from the area to come and hear what it's all about, to come and talk about nominations, to really find out about it, but also to talk about the topic of wellbeing in the workplace. And what was really interesting in that networking space, that event space, it felt safe for business leaders to actually say, do you know what? I've actually got a bit of a problem in my business. I'm really concerned about one of my top teams. I'm really concerned about this. What are you doing about it? And all of a sudden, you know, gone are the days where business leaders were sitting there in the boardroom and going, we're never talking about this sort of thing. What are we on about?
You know, that still happens a lot.
It does. It does. But it's interesting. I hear that a lot is changing. It's not.
But I see it as well. Like, I attended an event last year, and there was directors' boxes, and I was invited to go along, so I went, but I didn't anticipate the kind of business owners that were going to be in that room. I'm not going to name who they are, but they've got some big companies, right? And I could see they generally had passion and care, which was built off the back of resilience because they've had their own journey.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, kudos to those guys. And on the flip side to that, I see big conglomerates that spend more money on marketing company culture than they do by actually implementing company culture, because you can't shove it down people's throats. If I was a business owner, not in the space, the Shiny Awards was on, I would come along and grab a table and invite some of the employees. Who wants to come can come, who don't, they don't.
It's a choice. And this is the thing, that the more that we can educate people, the more choices and options we can give people, the more that we empower individuals, because there is nothing more powerful than actually empowering somebody to make their own choice, because we're all unique. One size does not fit all. You've got 3-4 different generations. You've got, you know, different cultures, different everything within the world. You've got crazy people like me. You've got, you know, you've got that total balance. So it's allow people to have all these choices, give them all the information, and empower them to find what works for those guys.
But I mean, I think, Lorri, you're right, though, in terms of just that it starts at the top in any business. It's got to be in the company's DNA. It's got to be part of their values. It's got to be the senior leadership team where that cascades down. You know, in Steps Together, one of the things that we're really proud of is our values. And we derived our values by actually engaging with our staff and saying, tell us what it's like to be part of Steps Together, to be part of the kind of, as an employee. Yeah. What does that look like? What do people feel about that? And actually, overwhelmingly, people said, it feels like a family. We feel heard. We feel valued. We feel included. We feel... It's a big family, and like big families, they fall out sometimes and things aren't always perfect, but it's a family, and that value for us of care and really looking after our staff is really important to us. And I think if a business hasn't got that in their DNA from the top, then that's where you won't see that.
You can't buy values, unless there's a plaque on the wall.
But you've got to live them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly that.
Gentlemen, we could talk all day.
We could.
Tell me, Lorri, the best thing or the most exciting thing you're looking forward to about Shoorah in 2025?
Apart from his dancing.
I was going to literally say, watching Alex sober dance was ironic. What am I looking forward to? I'm actually looking forward to seeing and hearing who are these 146 companies.
Yeah.
I want to know, like, out of the people and the businesses around the UK, who are these guys that are stepping forward to try and do something different? And that's what I want to see and hear. So I'm looking forward to that night, and hopefully Shoorah can pick up an award. I mean, we never know. I'd like to think I've got some votes. I sent it to everybody in my contact list and chased them until they responded. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to the night. And I love Liverpool. I love Manchester. I love the northern part of the UK. So I'm looking forward to coming back up and seeing you guys.
Great.
Steve?
Well, no, we really look forward to seeing you, Lorri, on the 9th of October, the Shrine. It's the day before International World Mental Health Awareness Day, so it's a really key, and the topic for those guys, World Mental Health Awareness Day, is very much health and wellbeing in the workplace this year, so bang on. We're looking forward to welcoming you. So
Lovely.
be a good night.